I'm really indebted to a lot of stories from my childhood, or like, you know, animation in the 80s, dreamy, ethereal music, anything like Florence and the Machine, or like, you know, Stevie Nicks. There's a kind of like traditionalism or escapism about all of those things that I'm trying to like weave into like our current era. And I think a lot of that comes out in my paintings, which are like things are a portal. So you're looking at a tiny crack and then there's like all of this information coming through it. I'm Tara Bystran. I'm an artist and a business owner. Mostly I paint murals and paintings, and my business is tea that I do with my sister, Anna Bystran. My Aunt Kathy was an artist, and she was self-taught. And she passed when I was really young from breast cancer, but she had a big impact on me. I was inspired by the way that she explored things for herself. I think it just kind of bubbled up in me naturally as a kid. I liked playing with mud in the backyard. I liked arranging sticks. I liked making forts and, you know, drawing pictures, and I became really obsessed with like reading stories and making fantastic stories up, so painting feels like an extension of that storytelling. I had skin cancer when I was 23. I had melanoma, and actually the series that I'm working on is about scarring and healing from scarring, and I'm trying to find that with my work, that a lot of my art goes back to starting when I had cancer, having a couple rounds of surgery and ending up with a lot of scarring when I was really young. I started paintings that were like the outline of a scar and then filling that in with imagery. So I'm shifting now into like a new series that's related to these scar paintings, which is more about not just like my own experience of surgery, but other people's experiences of surgery, and also what does it look like when healing happens through past generations, or if you have like generational trauma, how do you talk about that, and how do we talk about that in our communities, and how do we heal like those larger relationships? The new version of that story was more healing and more permissive, and gave me more like capacity and more autonomy to decide who I was and what had happened to me and what it meant. There's post-traumatic stress and there's post-traumatic growth. And without being like toxic positivity, it can only be growth. I think that there's something really useful about taking what happened to you and deciding what your version of the story is and speaking it out. And some of it can be really dramatic, but some of it is also little things like the toast that you made yourself when you were in recovery, or your comfort TV show. So I think that those little moments all kind of come together, and a lot of what I've started doing when I'm making a painting is that I think about the edges of the scarring, but I've also started thinking about taking all of those different images, and I have certain categories, like there's definitely like a plants and animals anatomy, certain categories I keep, and I have stacks and stacks and stacks of images and sketches that I've done. And then I will kind of pull them all together, collage them, arrange them, thinking about the shape of the scar, which I think of a lot as like the shape of the healing, like almost like the scar is like a timeline. So now I'm gonna start asking people to volunteer who have scars that they want to share with me, so I can ask them, like kind of volunteer my story and my narrative and ask them about theirs. I think not giving up. And I'm actually really lucky because I've had a bunch of dramatic things happen to me, and having, like, thinking you're gonna die or thinking there's something wrong with your heart. So all of this these intense, like dramatic, almost made up sounding stories and things are often happening around me. And I actually find it really useful because when you have near misses, you have the benefit of being like, cool, I almost died, I didn't, but now I have the blessing of knowing that I could, which reminds me that I need to be doing the things that are important but not urgent. So there's always like tax documents to fill out, there's always dishes to wash, and there's always laundry. And so you don't have really essential conversations, or you don't make the work that you want to make, or create the dance you want to dance, or all of that. So I think I feel really grateful that I have reminders of that, and I also am proud that like despite all of those things, or maybe because all of those things, I'm still making art. So you might need to dance it out, and you might need to bake it out, and you might need to just like run it out. Like, not just going to be articulated verbally or in money, in math. It's going to be in all of our other human ways of like telling each other things. Yeah.